Well, we were just talking about him. Let's bring in kind enough to join us tonight, the great Adam Jones. Adam, how are you? Where are you? What are you up to these days, man?
I'm just working on my golf game right now in Arizona. Just trying to just figure out life after baseball, and it's been fun. The first 6 months, it's been weird. Obviously, spring training, not going to a baseball field, still watching baseball, but it's been great. The body doesn't hurt, and I told my wife because she's mad that I golf too much now. Now she's a golf wife, and I just told her that look, I still can swing the bat. I just still need to swing something, but I can't run. So this is the perfect substitute, and
I
it's
think a
working so
lot of
far.
times, Adam, I remember when I was announcing the Arizona Diamondbacks games with Mark Grace, and Mark had just stepped away from the field. And it was the first time I had had a partner that literally just stepped right off the field. And I remember we were getting ready for a game one night in San Francisco, and Mark and I got into it. I jumped his ass pretty good about not being ready for the telecast and all this kind of stuff. And Mike Krukow and Dwayne Kuiper are in the booth next door, and they're really good friends of mine. And they came over the next day, and they said, "Hey, listen, I know, you got high expectations for Mark. I know him and you go way back to your Cub days in a whole 9 yards." He said, "But you got to understand, when a player leaves the game, there's a big hole there." Have you felt like that?
No, honestly,
Really?
I think
Okay.
that
All
no,
right.
personally, I think going to Japan was like my weaning out of the game. Of course, who doesn't want to play until they can't anymore? But I think going to Japan was myself weaning out the game, opposed to the year before. I didn't sign until I think March 13th. If I seen that in the future, I'm like, well, let me just go over and do something crazy. And it was good weaning out. And then my wife, she has a travel company, so I'm just like, look, let's just go live. I mean, I think the game's been too fruitful. I done worked my ass off too hard to be like, oh man, to have any bad sorrows or anything. Like, there's a void. I miss baseball in terms of the guys. I miss the drive to the park. I miss, just all the little intricacies. I don't miss chasing a ball down in the gap. I don't miss sliding the bases. I don't miss hitting 92, 98 now with sink.
Yeah.
I don't miss none of that.
Yeah.
I don't miss none of that. And Mr. Bavasi, how you doing, man? I have not seen you in a while. I hope everything is good.
Yeah, I know.
In conversation with a lot of things, so it's great to see you.
I was wondering if you knew I was going to be on this, man. I'll tell you what, I have been so excited watching your career, even though, it was such a horrible. Let me tell you something. When you watch movies and like it's a scary movie or it's a villain movie and somebody, there's always a scene where somebody just wakes up at night and they sit up in bed and go, holy Jesus, did I just do that? And that's you. So I still, like, every month I wake up and think, oh my God, did I really do that? But I'll tell you what, man, as bad as the deal was, it was such a thrill to watch what you did with your career on and off the field. I think it's obvious what you did on the field, but what I was paying attention to was what you were doing off the field. You're such a leader in your community. And I'll tell you what, I was proud of you, not because you were a Mariner, but you're from San Diego, right?
Yep.
And
of course.
As a San Diego man, I was rooting for you. And God, you became such an important part to the city of Baltimore and that organization. And I'm so proud of you and excited for you.
Well, no one thing. It all started with, 18-year-old kid coming into an organization, and I had first guy I meet is Mike Goff. Like, hard to the nose, military in baseball. If there ever was a sergeant in baseball, Mike Goff will be that guy. And him and Willie Bloomquist, J.J. Putz said, I don't give a damn if you're a first rounder. Your ass is about to work. And those three dudes, and I still talk to Willie. He's the head coach at ASU along with Mike Goff now. And it was from day one, it was work, install work. So when I got traded to Baltimore, I went to a brand new organization. Didn't know nobody. And I got with T-Bone Shelby, and we worked. We got with Juan Samuel. He was the infield coach, but we still worked. And it was all about getting around good coaches. And I learned that with Baltimore. Learned that with Seattle, is that you got to have good coaches that want to work with you, opposed to I've seen a lot of guys get coddled, but I was like, well, I don't care, because I always had Willie texting me, hey, what you doing? How you doing? he wanted to pay attention to everything I was doing because he wanted to be my teammate. We was able to be teammates soon thereafter. And another great guy in that journey was Greg Dobbs. And I was supposed to golf with him last week in Newport, but he when he runs a financial world, gets busy here and there. But it's like I had those guys that, again, those 4 guys are not Hall of Fame guys. Not you need to know baseball to know those guys.
Yeah.
And then those guys are a reason why I see these attributes or these stats up. Those are the reason why I had those, because even when I got traded over to Baltimore, you think that Willie wasn't texting me, hey, why aren't you hustling? Hey, let's go. Let's go. And he's the reason. Those are the reasons why. But all that started in Seattle. That started with I still talked with D. Gardner. It starts with Gary Thurman, Darren Brown. I'm just name all my coaches. I mean, it starts with all those guys, because when I got to the the Orioles, I was in the big leagues.
Yeah.
It was already big leagues is not time to, hey, let's get better at this. Now the big leagues is show and go. And then it's my first time playing against New York, and A-Rod, Bernie Williams, Jeter, Cano. I mean, they lineup felt like they was all 7 feet tall, and the Orioles, we just getting our teeth kicked in. But I still was like, hey man, we gonna come and whoop their ass too. And you see how the transformation come. Obviously, it wasn't all by myself, but the way I played baseball, fundamentally sound. If you watch how I did every single thing, that's Seattle. Yeah. The credit obviously is going to go to the Orioles because I made all-star games there, but it's the foundation of my career. The first 4 years of my career, getting my ass handed to me every day by Mike Goff is the reason why I went on.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you,
I never forgot that.
Yeah, those are really good points that guys like Goff and Thurman, all those guys want to hear. That's because that's really what they take home. And you're clearly the worst trade I was ever involved in. But you're really similar to a guy in the best trade I ever made, which was I traded Chad Curtis when he was young for Tony Phillips. I don't know if you remember that name at all.
I know Tony Phillips, Angels. What?
Yeah, Tony Phillips is that guy that Matt Keogh, God rest his soul, actually both of them, Matt recommended him in a deal, and he said, you know what? Here's what he'll do that other players won't. He'll make Jim Edmonds, JT Snow, Tim Salmon, Gary DiSarcina. He'll make these guys better. He'll make them better players. And that's what you became. You became that player that made other players better. And that's part of your community. You know what I mean? That's part of what made you great in the city, with the organization, and with your teammates, because it was real apparent that I saw other guys get better when you got better there too.
You met my mom, rest her soul.
Yes.
Yeah, exactly. So she wouldn't tolerate nothing. I mean, if you got to meet my grandma, you'd know that she wouldn't tolerate nothing either. So it was for me, it was easy to lead by example, because the example was, where I'm from, you got to shut up and play the game hard. You got to put up numbers. Ain't no crying. Ain't no nothing. And it's, again, I'm the last era of the coddling, I believe.
Yeah.
I don't even think you can call somebody a bonus baby anymore. You might go to HR. You call somebody.
You got it. You got it.
You know what I'm saying?
I know what you're saying.
You can't even say, you're pandering me. Shut the hell up. You got damn $2 million, you jackass. You are pandering. I just got $10,000 in a Greyhound ticket.
You came out of Morris High School, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a great baseball school, great baseball program, great athletic programs, but people weren't fooling around.
But I want to ask Adam about when because you were primarily, until I think about like 12. I was reading as the first time that your stepdad, I think, took you to a Padres game, and you fell in love with baseball at that point. You were a great football player, great basketball player. But coming out of high school, and correct me if I'm wrong here, you were a shortstop and a pitcher. Now, in high school baseball, the two best athletes generally on the team, or the best athlete on the team, is either a pitcher or a shortstop. You're both. We've seen in recent years, Shohei's a different animal altogether, because he's doing both, and something nobody's done since really Babe Ruth. But Hunter Green, a couple of years ago, when he was a number 1 pick, there was a lot of debate. Would he be a pitcher? Would he be an offensive player? What did you want to be? Did you want to be the position player, or back then, did you think you wanted to be a pitcher?
Hell no. I wanted to play shortstop, and I had a good arm. So the coach was like, for my freshman year, they would put you on the mound. I was playing shortstop, and I had a good arm. And then my senior year, it went up to 92 to 96. They were like, hey, you're going to be our starter. You got to be our ace because you throw hard. And then when I went into the showcases, I obviously had to pitch. I wanted to showcase everything I wanted to do because I didn't say, oh, I just want to play short. I'm not going to showcase everything. That'd be rock. When I got drafted by the Mariners, I told Frank Maddox, RIP, a great guy, I said, look, I want to play shortstop, and knock on wood, if I can't hit, then, hey, my arm is good. Let's go on the mound because projections was in some aspects that I wouldn't hit past AA. And there's a lot of projections on a lot of guys like that. There's guys that went way higher than me that was supposed to be this and that. But that's the draft. That's the tricky part of it. And Bill, I don't. That's impossible to
right.
just quantify who's going to be good. So
right.
I just grinded it out. I just grinded it out. But like I think for what Shohei wanted to be like Shohei, I think spending 2 years in Japan, the work that they do, it can be done. It's just extremely hard to do, and it takes a lot of work. Now, that guy, he might sleep like a newborn baby. I mean, because he has to be exhausted. He has to play catch. He gets 1 day off to play catch. He hits every day. I see here and there when he's not DH and they just give him a full day off, which I think is great. You got to give the man rest. But it's like he's on the field stretching early and then takes from stretching early to hitting. Now, I get he doesn't hit on the field, but he's doing a lot. And I had this conversation with Bobby Bonilla yesterday. Is he the most valuable player? Because he's hitting 270, 16, and 50, and he has a sub 3 with 80 innings thrown.
Well, all I know is that if there's been a human being alive that had a back-to-back day stretch that he had, 2 weeks ago, where he hits 3 home runs in one game, knocks in 9 runs, and the next day he starts and pitches 8 shutout innings,
13 strikeouts. That's never been done before.
It's insane.
It's special watching him. Now, can it be done again? I never say never, but I mean, as you've seen, it was Babe Ruth and then him. So I mean, you got some guys you got some pitchers who can hit like Bumgarner, Greinke. I mean, there were some guys, Wainwright guys who really, really could swing the bat. But Mike Hampton, who I golfed with a couple weeks ago, but ain't nobody ever been like him. And Babe Ruth. Once this Babe Ruth conversation is going to be over, once you pass 100 starts, okay, we get it. Babe Ruth did this for a very, very short amount of time. If Shohei does this 3-4 more years, he's in a league of his own. Is he going to catch Babe Ruth in home runs? No, time just permits that. But it's never something. He's doing something that's never been done. And again, everybody always say Babe Ruth, great player. He also played against people who pumped his gas on his way, even if there was cars back then. I think there was. No discredit to him, though, because everybody had the same level playing field.
We're talking, Adam, about the art, the science of a trade. But, all the years I've been in baseball, there's also the human element of the trade. Talk about what happens when you find out you're getting traded, and now all of a sudden you're living in Seattle. You're sent to literally the other side of the planet to get to Baltimore. You got to find an apartment. You got to get packed. You weren't married yet, but tell us about how that whole whirlwind. What's that like for a player?
Well, for me, the only thing obviously the transition. It's business. I learned that early. Of business. So that wasn't a part that affected me. Learning new people. I learned new people with the Mariners. I just had learned new people with the Orioles. I just had a little bit more professionalism at the time. You know what I mean? A little more experience. Knew how to carry myself a little bit better. Being 22. But the only thing that annoyed the hell out of me was we were in the finals of the championship in Venezuela. And we were up 2-1 against the Tigres de Aragua, against Miguel Cabrera's team. And after game 3, they told me I couldn't play anymore. And that was the only part that kind of I was like, damn, because again, all the players knew, everybody knew what was going on in America. And because a couple weeks before, I had to stop playing for a couple days because there was a potential trade. Could have been, I think, Minnesota or something. I'm not sure if I remember all that correctly, but I had to stop for a couple of days and I got to resume. But I felt like I was like, damn, man, I feel like I'm letting my team down. But I understand, I knew it. And then it turned around that I only got $7,000 in the championship final package opposed to $31,000. So that really pissed me off. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah,
it's the small thing. And I was that $31,000, that $12,000 I was making down there was heaven. That $31,000 would have been.
Yeah, because like the league minimum then was what about 89, 90,000?
No, it was 330 when I first got
in.
in.
Okay, all right. I was thinking, you're a young
sparingly.
man. What am I thinking about? Never mind.
Yeah, I was parts of 2 years, but like that winter ball money was icing on the cake because the projection was for me to start 08 in the big leagues. I mean, again, if a strong spring training happens, a lot of different factors. Ichiro I don't know if he wanted to play center field again. Who knows? So when I went over to Baltimore, it was just like, damn. Like, it's different, but I remember my brother said, bro, you about to get to play every single day. And that was all he said, and hung up the phone. And I'm like, in my second day, Dave Tremblay came to me and said, hey, you're my center fielder. It's your job to lose. And we sitting here talking. I went out there every day. I need to earn this job every day. I need to earn it. So I played my ass off. And I still remember every time when I was in the outfield, Golfy always said, if it hits the grass, that's your ass. I lost the ball in the sun. I'll never forget this, playing left field. I lost the ball in the sun in Oakland. And I let down Gilmesh so bad. He was dealing the game. It was in the 7th inning. And in Oakland, that sun was sitting in my damn eye. And I lost the ball. And Gilmesh came up to me and was like, hey, man, hey, don't worry about it, man. I felt so bad. Next day, we were back home in Seattle. 3 o'clock, that sun was perfectly in Seattle. I went out there every single day the rest of the season and worked on sun balls. And I don't think I maybe missed one in Baltimore in 11 years.
Wow. Joe?
Yeah, I have a question. Hey, Adam. I'm Joe. I'm a comedian, and this is something I've always wondered about baseball. Big fan of the game. You got 25 guys on a squad. It's February to October. You don't have to name names, but what's it like to have just a guy you hate in the clubhouse? Because I just can't imagine. As a comedian, if I see someone in the lineup, I'm like, I can't stand this guy. I got to see him for an hour. Can it ruin your season, or can you just avoid him? It just seems like the plane, the clubhouse, all day for 6 months, 7 months.
Well, I think Major League, obviously the final scene when the third baseman comes up to him and said, strike them out. I think that is the culmination of somebody you don't necessarily like, but at the end of the day, our common goal is to win. And then, knock the hell out of him afterwards. I think that whole part right there, minus the, sleeping with his wife and all that kind of stuff, minus that part.
That I'm into.
That whole, but that whole culmination right there is sometimes how it is. Like, you're not going to like everybody in your workplace, but the common goal is to win a championship because everybody wins a championship. Everybody gets to go on that nice plane, the trips. It is just lovely. It is great for an organization when you win, when you get to the playoffs. So you're not going to like everybody in your workplace, but the common goal is to win, and people do what they have to do, and you sacrifice your lip sometimes for that common goal. But I mean, players, we have it a little bit different. We can say, shut the hell up and squabble in the clubhouse all we want because, I mean, unless you can't do it on the field, as you've seen, fam, I told you, you can't do stuff like that. But, you're not going to like everybody, but you just got to be professional about it. And you can avoid people, but, at the same time, you're going to have to high five to some bitch if he does something good. If you're driving a run when the game is on the line, when we're between them lines, you're going to have to be a teammate. But outside of that, you ain't got to take nobody to dinner. You ain't got to be around nobody.
Adam, you go on to become one of the great players in the history of the Orioles franchise, and that is a franchise that I don't need to tell you, but for maybe the younger crowd, they think the Orioles, oh God, they haven't been any good forever, but they were good forever, and they were good when you first got there, and you're winning Gold Gloves, and you get the big contract, and you're going to the All-Star games, and on and on and on. Then all of a sudden, the franchise starts to do this. How hard was that?
Well, it sucked because once you get that taste of winning, 2012, we went to the wild card game, won that, went to the playoffs against the Yankees, lost that game 5. But that energy, like, it has not happened since 1997. That energy in Baltimore, I didn't realize that energy in Baltimore. Then 13 comes. We're a good team. We're competitive. We're just short of it. 14, we win the division. What? Beating the Yankees in the division? Like, I didn't realize it. Like, I got getting to the playoffs against them, but beating them in the division, that means like taking their crown. That's something it's just incredible. And then, after 14, Markakis expired contract. I guess nobody wants to do the fourth year. The fourth year of his contract in Atlanta was his best year of his career. Arguably, he went to the All-Star game, Gold Glove. But I'm not, I can't predict the future. Right. Nelson Cruz, nobody wants to do the 4-year deal, I guess, in Baltimore. All 4 years, I think 1 year he had 39, but he had 39 every year and 100 every year. I think we could have used that. Not to say anything about Trumbo and Davis and whoever else on our team. I rooted for my teammates every single day. But when we had all those collectively, and we could afford them at the time because we were winning, and Bill, you know this, when you win, you can afford things. Yep. People tend to open their pocket a little bit more. And right. when we didn't sign those two guys, I just think that myself, Manny, JJ, it was hard for 4 guys, to carry a guys when we had a 1 through 9 that's trying to take you deep. It was, that shrunk, and it's just hard. And when the time comes to pay guys, it gets tough too. And I just think we just ran out of gas as a group, and some pieces just started to go other ways, and and then it went to a whole rebuild. I think after 8 steps, halfway through 17, and I think now I think Elias is doing a great job there. You see that right now. They're in every game. They're very competitive every night. Now, are they gonna win every single game? I think experience in some things are gonna fault them and hurt them against the Yankees and against the Astros and Boston and certain teams that have been there. But they're gonna play their ass off every night, and I think that's all you can ask, and that's all the city asks. And hopefully they rebuild a winner, get some arms in there that can sustain that East, because that ain't fun. Oh my gosh, it's not fun. And hopefully they get back to competitiveness, because seeing what Baltimore has for baseball, the love they have for baseball, they love football. They're in love with baseball. Yeah, they love football though, but they're in love with baseball deeply.
Billy,
when you were in Seattle, we moved you off shortstop, and that's a heartbreak for a lot of guys. Were you okay with that?
At first, I wasn't like heartbroken. At first, I was like, "Hey, why?" Gary Thurman, because it was like August 4th or 5th. I mean, we're in San Antonio. Gary Thurman, I'm like, "Why?" He's like, "Hey, we're gonna go out and start working on center field." I'm like, "Why?" He's like, "We just signed Betancourt. We just traded for Morris and Jeremy Reed, and Betancourt. I don't know if he just got called up, but he was around the corner from getting called up. And I think he played 3 or 4 games, and Morris's ass was in left field the next day too. Once you seen Betancourt, it was like no organization. You gone. Cabrera went from every day. All you guys, you moving. And Thurman came up to me. He was like, "Hey man," he said, "Look, I don't give a damn how you get to the big league. Hit. They want your bat. You athletic. You can go to center field. They want your bat." And he was like, "Okay." I was doing really well in Double-A. And I just like, okay, there's another position. Then I went to Fall League, and I was talking to Frank Maddox, because I was obviously still playing shortstop in Double-A all throughout the playoffs. But I was still working every day, taking fly balls, working in center field. Get to Fall League, and I'm with Gary Pettis, and then I see Frank Maddox. I'm like, "Yeah, Frank, hey, should I be taking ground balls at short?" And he's like, just gave me that look, and I was like, I just ran the hell away from him, went out to center field, and I gave everything, all my energy and all my attention to Gary Pettis for those 6 weeks. And I was like, "Dude, I know who you are. I've seen you. I didn't see you play. I know your accolades. Teach me how to play center field." And he had me as early, and I had dinner with him a few weeks ago, and he was just reminiscing on that. And he was the first guy. I mean, obviously Thurman, but he was the first guy that had hands on every single day with me in center field. And I think there's a little bit of resemblance in that, and somehow in some of the ways we played. But I honestly, I was like, at first I was like, "Oh, damn, what's going on?" But Gary Thurman said, "Get that bat ready." And then I went to AAA, and I was up in 3. You called me up at the All-Star break. Yeah, new position.
Yeah, my whole career, I come from like a player development background more than anything else, and it was the fastest way for you to get to the big leagues. And I always believed that we kind of sign a covenant with your parents, with you, with your brothers and sisters, with everybody that, hey, we'll take care of this kid. We'll get him to the big leagues as fast as we can, because, shelf life is, it doesn't last forever. And so you guys deserve to have somebody get you to the big leagues as soon as possible. Not rushed, but get there as soon as possible. It's interesting you mentioned Gary. I was with the Angels when I was just an assistant in the minor leagues, but I was there when we took him off shortstop and put him in center field I think he was going into Double-A, and then about 2 years later, we did the same thing. We took Devon White off of third base and shortstop and put him in center field. And those are two. There's those two.
Sean Dunston.
Yeah, but I wasn't with him. Those are,
that was it. Yeah, Eric Davis was another one that is a minor leaguer, was a shortstop.
You three are the best natural center fielders I've ever seen. And it comes natural. I mean, I know you worked at it. I get it. Mm-hmm. So did Gary and so did Devon. But there's a gift. There's a gift you got.
Yeah. I always took the infield. I took the infield out there. So, I never was afraid of the short hops and the balls off the wall. Anything that was really quick, I was working around the bag was always real easy of stabbing the ball. So, like, the confidence, those guys installed in me was good. And then again, getting traded over to Baltimore, I full-time center field because 2007, I was doing a little bit of right. I think I got called back up, and I was playing a little bit of left, and then Ibanez went off, and I'm just a pinch hitter, pinch runner, late, and hey, it is what it is. Yeah. And but I went to Baltimore, and then I got T-Bone Shelby, another guy who, a fantastic athlete, fantastic center fielder. Yeah. So, I had guys that taught me how to play center field. And to this day, funny thing about shortstop, Wayne Kirby to this day will still say, if I was a shortstop, I'd be playing in Mexico, and Bill Bavasi did me the best job ever. You should write him a check. That's what it's just verbatim. He says that all the time.
I don't know about that. You're a pretty good shortstop. I don't know about that.
Joe?
I had another quick question, Adam, and I might be projecting with some of these questions, but you've made multiple all-star teams, and I'm really interested in, obviously, you're proud of yourself to make the all-star game. It feels good to be an all-star, but there must be part of you that's bummed. You go, man, I wanted to go home for 3 days. Now I got to go to whatever, Atlanta, and talk to press. And talk a little bit about the plus and minuses of making the all-star. You get a little shorter vacation or no vacation, but you also have a festival atmosphere, I imagine.
Well, you get no vacation. The best part is you get a bonus. The worst part is the bonus is spent on jets, getting people there and from, tickets, headaches. Oh, my goodness, it's a headache. I mean, my first one was great. It was just my mom and my girlfriend at the time. Fantastic. Nobody. My second one it was 2009. I've been 12. Yep. Just got my contract like a month before. So everybody was like, no, we go to the All-Star game. So I had to get a jet to go here. And then after those, the next 4 or 5 were jets everywhere. Then my mom wants to kick. My mom's like, I ain't going here. You're flying private. So I'm flying private from here. So it turned into a circus, but it always was a blessing because you're amongst the best of the best. Again, at the time, hey, but those are going to be guys that are going to be 10-time All-Stars. They're going to be guys that are 1-time All-Stars. But you're around the game's best at the present time, and you're around everyone's fans. Only one that's getting booed really is like the division rival. Yeah, of the fan. So when the Orioles come, it was get a couple. Cool, what's up, man? How you doing? It was no boo. Like in New York, you got a Nationals fan or something. Just wearing them out. But all of them was blessings. Again, there were headaches to it with hotels and this and that. But again, it was just money. But I wouldn't change anything like that. And I hope that all these players, I hope they all got headaches but get to experience it with their family and their loved ones because it is truly an amazing time. And
last thing I want to ask you about,
it's hard to do.
Yeah, there's no doubt about that. And you did it, 6, 7 times. Last thing I want to ask you about, we were discussing this topic, Adam, and you sort of touched on it a little while ago about when you got in the minor leagues, your coaches down there, you were a first-round pick, but they were going to kick you in the tail. They were going to push you. They were going to push your buttons if they had to find out where those buttons were. And we talk about some of these quote-unquote new age managers we've talked about, and now some of the old school guys that are getting a chance to come back into the big leagues again. Dusty really never left, but for the year or so. But you played for Buck Showalter in Baltimore. You talk about, an older guy coming in, and let's face it, I mean, I was with Showalter for a number of years in Arizona. There's some people that really like him, and there's some people that really don't like him. I think that's fair to say, and that's not knocking Buck Showalter.
True.
But do you think guys like Buck Showalter are really good for younger players right now? Because maybe they players do want some of that sort of prodding, and let's start getting after people.
I think in today's climate, I think he's been able to adjust to today's climate of players. Again, is he a hard ass? Still is. Red, beeping, boom, boom, beeping red, wants to cuss out the next everything. But he understands the today's climate of the player. And with us in Baltimore, when he got there, everybody just like, Buck is going to do. I was like, man, well, he can't whip my ass. Well, I mean, like he wants one thing: play the game hard.
Yep.
Play it right. Play it smart. Doing dumb shit will piss him off. Running into outs will piss him off. And again, any manager. But to him, to the 10th degree. I mean, to where you might not see the field. I mean, he just wanted you to play smart. And I think what we did in Baltimore, were we athletic? Yeah. Were we the best team on the field in terms of every single position? No. We played the best defense. We played the smartest defense. We threw to the right bases. He made us efficient in every aspect of the game. But again, we had flaws. We were a big strikeout team. We didn't have the best pitching staff, but we made up with being smart, learning how to be in position, we studied defense. We actually really study defense individually. Me and Hardy would talk about defense all the time because being the shortstop and center fielder, like we studied the game. We knew that, okay, we can't outslug the Yankees or the Red Sox at the time. But you know what? When we got these little things and we got bases loaded, we have to get two. Ain't no just grounding to a double play and getting one and getting out. No, we have to get two. And we harped on such small things. And you see what he's doing right now with the Mets. Last year, they were ass in all aspects of it. There ain't no kiss. There's no way to cookie cut it. And right now, they're doing all the small things to win the games. Again, they have star power, but they're doing all the small things. And they don't even have two of the game's best pitchers.
Yeah, that's right.
And Showalter will force you to do the small things because if you don't, you ain't gonna play. And look who's next to him every time. The face of the franchise, Francisco Lindor. And if he's doing it, everybody's gonna do it. When he got there, Markakis is the face of the franchise. Markakis is busting his ass. I'm following it. B-Rob following it. Then we trickle down to JJ, Weeders, then the new wave, Machado. You see the way Machado plays today. It's like you play hard because it's installed in you to play a game the one way. Even if you come up in this era of, again, you can't say certain words to guys, certain prima donnas or whatever you want to. It's a different era, but you still have some old school baseball players that's out there, and you see the way the Astros play. They play old school style baseball because their manager understands that he has unbelievable athleticism, but there's still things you can do old school that still work.
Yeah,
and Buck does that greatly.
Well, Adam, we've taken a lot of your time tonight, and we just can't thank you enough. This has been awesome having you with us, and we're so glad you look great. So glad to hear you're doing well and enjoying golf. What do you got the handicap at before we let you go? You got a handicap? Or you not?
14 right now. No, I ain't cheating. 14. I'm at 14 right now. Today I got my first eagle ever.
Where? I lived in Arizona forever. Where'd you play today?
True North.
Nice. Very nice.
Yeah, I did at True North. Very narrow. I didn't like it. I was scared.
Yeah, I mean, those desert courses can be tough. There's no doubt. Adam, all the best, man.
Always. Good to see you guys. Bill, hey, man.
Great to see you, Adam. You look terrific, man.
Thank you.
Really happy
Joe,
for you.
good to meet you, brother.
Nice to meet you, my friend. Appreciate it.
Adam.